It's time! And now, introducing your host, fighting out of Las Vegas, Nevada, by way of Boston, Massachusetts, presenting live
the Bostonian versus the Book. Follow the show on Twitter at Boston versus the Book.
Here he is, Matt Carroll!
Enjoy the show, enjoy the show, enjoy the show, enjoy the show.
What's up, boys and girls? How are you? It's time for a Tuesday episode of the Bostonian versus the Book. My name is Matt Peralta. We are live on YouTube and on Twitter. It's the same handle, at Boston versus the Book. We are replayed on Sports Grid Television every night at 1 a.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Pacific time. You guys get the audio podcast wherever you get your audio podcast. Today on the program, Jesse Merrick. We will talk a little Raiders football. The Raiders fired Pete Carroll yesterday, and they have the number one pick. Who are they going to hire? Who are they going to draft? Tom Brady. Guess what, buddy? Your butt is firmly on the hot seat in terms of this pick. This is on you. This is going to be a quarterback, and the 7-time championship quarterback is going to be the one making the pick for the Raiders. He's an owner. He's 48 years old. He's dating 25-year-olds. Let's see what happens, Tom. Let's go. Who gets the pick? Are we taking Dante Moore? Are we taking Mendoza? Are we taking someone else? Are we trading the pick? We'll get to Jesse Merrick coming up here in about 20 minutes. Opening line presented by Huel. Today, we will talk about the playoffs. Look, I'm going to give you 5 bets, 5 future wagers. I'm not saying bet them all, but I'm saying you could look at the numbers, and we are entering into a postseason bracket for the NFL where there is so much value on these teams. Like the Pittsburgh Steelers are 55-1. 55-1. Can I get you interested in a ticket on the Pittsburgh Steelers to not just, they don't have to win the Super Bowl. They just have to get there. Could they get there? Could they get to San Francisco? So we'll give you my 5 favorite bets, the best value plays, in my opinion, when it comes to the upcoming NFL bracket. We will talk some news of the industry today. There are some interesting things happening in the prediction market world. I thought we couldn't take bets on war. I thought that was illegal. Somebody made almost $500,000 this week on Polymarket betting on the invasion of Venezuela. So we'll get to that later on in the program. You guys in the chat, you always bring some great stuff, so we'll have some things for you guys coming up as well. Obviously, we'll get into other topics because you guys tend to throw me off and get me rolling here with everything going on, so it's always a lot of fun here on a Tuesday. A reminder that you guys can go check out the store, thebvbshow.com, to shop right now. Coming soon, maybe even today, there's going to be a special NFL playoff edition. Actually, there could be 2 different NFL playoff edition hats on the store. So if you've not gotten a BVB hat yet, we're going to do this theme as we go into the playoffs, themes as we go into different things where, who knows, there may be a Masters edition. There may be a baseball edition. Corbin's in the lab doing all sorts of crazy things with the BVB logo. So maybe today, hopefully by tomorrow, if it's not there already. I haven't checked it today, so I'm not sure if it's there or not. But if you go to the website, thebvbshow.com, click on the link, go to the store, check it out. There could very well be a playoff model edition, 2 different playoff model editions on the store coming up here for us today. It is a Tuesday. This is where I have done my top 5 teams in the NFL. I don't want to do that today because we're into the playoffs, but we do have 14 teams. We have 14 options. Any value? Let's talk about it. Are there bets and picks and plays to make here in the futures market for the opening line? Opening lines being brought to you by our friends at Huel. This is Human Fuel. Huel sponsoring the opening line. 5 favorite future bets for the Super Bowl coming up here for today. Yesterday, I made a mistake and I put the code as BVB. The code is actually BVB20. What is the code? Well, let's talk about these guys because they are back sponsoring the Daily Juice. I have been, and I had this for breakfast this morning, I've been using these guys when it comes to protein, when it comes to weight gain, when it comes to working out. If you do have a high protein goal for yourself, if you're looking for meal replacements, not just protein shakes, but meal replacements to help you eat better in 2026, Huel has got it for you. If you are listening to the podcast, you won't see this. If you're watching on Sports Grid, watching on YouTube or X, there is a QR code on your screen that you can go and snap with your camera, and that will take you directly to the high protein starter kit from Huel. It's 5 Black Edition ready to drink drinks with chocolate powder. It's something that, again, I had today. You can also buy this nationwide in Target, so it's easy to grab the ready to drink bottles straight off the shelf. There is a bundle, the Black Edition ready to drink, that is a complete meal. That's 35 grams of protein, 27 essential vitamins and minerals, no artificial sweeteners. It is gluten-free. It is vegan. It tastes good. And if you want something a little bit more customizable, the Black Edition powder, vanilla or chocolate, there are other flavors as well. I do that consistently because I like to put bananas and strawberries into my own smoothies. So I do this a lot here with these guys. Limited time offer. You can get Huel's full high-protein starter kit online with the code BVB20 for 20% off. New customers only. Our thanks to Huel for supporting BVB. Code is BVB20, Huel.com/BVB20, or hit the QR code that's currently on your screen. Let's talk about these numbers. The bracket, in case you haven't seen it, here's your bracket. This is the playoffs. What you have to remember is that the NFL will reseed. Okay. They will reseed. So the number 1 seed Seahawks and the number 1 seed Broncos, they will play the highest remaining seed after the wild card weekend. So if the Chargers were to beat the Patriots, the Broncos would play the Chargers. If the Bills beat the Jaguars, and so on, right? You have to keep that in mind when it comes to the futures market because it does impact the path of a long shot. If you want to go and take the Green Bay Packers to make it to the Super Bowl, know that they have to beat the Bears at the Bears and the Seahawks at the Seahawks, and then another game on the road, depending on who's left over, for them to get there. So that's why the odds are extremely long for some of these teams who are trying to make the Super Bowl. I'm not trying to pick the winner of the Super Bowl. I'm trying to pick the team that will get there because I will hedge, because hopefully you have a big enough ticket that you can start hedging. Maybe even in the championship game, you can start hedging before you get there to guarantee profit. That's how I do the futures market. Some people are true gamblers. You want to bet it, you want to let it ride. That's fine. I'm not anti you doing that. And there are more teams than this, but they don't fit on the screen. So here are the options for the NFL playoff. This is according to FanDuel, but there's other markets out there as well. The Seahawks are now down to plus 390. The Rams are plus 440. The Broncos are the number 1 option for the AFC at plus 650. Eagles 850. Patriots 10-1. Bills 10-1. And the Jaguars 10-1. Sorry, the Texans 10-1. Jaguars 14-1. So let's talk about it. Who are the teams that potentially have the best opportunity for you to be profitable if you want to take some long shots here? The best value, favorite value bets going into the playoffs. 5 of them. Number 5, the 49ers. They are 27-1. Underdogs who missed the playoffs the year prior are 41-21 ATS since 2017. The Niners will begin on the road at the Eagles. San Fran went 7-2 straight up on the road this season. So let's look at the path for the Niners. The Niners, as the 6th seed, would beat Philadelphia and then have to go to Seattle. Can the Niners beat Seattle, where they got manhandled in week 18 at home. They got destroyed by Seattle, but this is a divisional game. Could they beat Seattle? Absolutely, but they also might get a gigantic break. The reason why I like the bet is because I think Green Bay is going to beat Chicago. So because I like the 49ers, the Packers to beat the Bears, the 49ers would play the Rams on the road. And I love the Niners' chances of beating the Rams on the road. That is where this bet would come in and why I have it at number 5 from a value play. Because I think you can really look at this and go, hey, they're 4.5-point dogs on the road against the Eagles. Jalen Hurts is undefeated at home in the playoffs. I got it. Jalen Hurts, I think his record is 31-5 at home, straight up. This is going to be a monumental task. They're going to need the Eagles to throw up all over themselves and have massive turnovers because the Niners defense is a mess. But Robert Saleh is a really good defensive coordinator, and maybe he's got something for this offense because it has not been the same offense as we saw last year. Saquon Barkley has not been the same. The offensive line has not been the same. This Niners offense before they played the Seahawks last week was the best offense over the last 2 months in the NFL, and Brock Purdy was playing at a psychotic level. So yes, Trent Williams, that injury at left tackle is a huge concern. He needs to be healthy, or at least healthy enough to play and be effective. If he can go, you've got that offensive line with Christian McCaffrey to run the football. You got George Kittle and company, and you got Brock Purdy playing at a very high level. It's 27-1 for a reason. But number 5, Niners, 27-1 to win the Super Bowl. Number 4 is the team that we just talked about as to who the Niners could play. That would be the Rams at plus 440. The Rams are getting a layup. If this number closes at 10.5, this will be the biggest road favorite in NFL playoff history. We haven't seen this. 10.5 on the road in the modern NFL is stupid. The Panthers are a team who are in the playoffs who did not win a single game as a favorite, as a betting favorite in the NFL. That has never happened. We have never seen a team make the playoffs who have not been favored and won the game straight up. Forget covering it. Laying 2 points, they win by 1. No, the Panthers did not do it. They're the first team in the history of the NFL to make the playoffs. They should not be in the playoffs. They are not a playoff team, period. All right. I know the Panthers beat the Rams earlier this year. I don't care. Rams are winning this game. So, with that stated, if the Rams are winning that game, they are advancing. What happens? Let's just say it goes chalk and the Bears win and the Eagles win. So the Bears are hosting the Eagles and the Rams are going to Seattle for an epic game. That would be an unbelievable game. But let's just say I'm right. Let's say the Green Bay Packers, they beat the Bears. The Green Bay Packers go to Seattle and the Rams would go to the Eagles, or they're hosting the 49ers. I don't mind the Rams in a revenge spot going back to Philadelphia to beat the Eagles, because that game has stuck in that franchise's craw all season long, because they were winning that game until the snow showed up. Do you remember that playoff game? Do you remember what Matthew Stafford and company, what happened to them when they were leading in the first half? And then Mother Nature said, I don't think so. And the Rams couldn't play in the weather, and Saquon Barkley ran wild on the Rams in the second half. And that's how Philadelphia won that game. Can the Rams win that game? Oh, 100%. The Rams can win that game. No debate in my mind. The Rams can win that game. If the Rams win that game, they're going to take on Seattle, and I'm not debating that game is going to be an absolute barn burner, but they're not going to be a 4-1 dog in that game. They might be a slight dog, and we're going to be able to take the other side and take Seattle and guarantee ourselves that we don't lose. We're not going to lose any money, right? So have a chance to get out of it and then play one unit there on Seattle. You play one unit in if they win the game, to go to the Super Bowl, and you got a 3-1 ticket. Rams aren't going to be 3-1 in the Super Bowl. If the Rams get there, more than likely the Rams are favored. And it could be a rematch with the Patriots, which would be epic. Rubber match. Not rubber match, 2-0. Patriots are 2-0 against the Rams in McVay all time. So a chance for the Rams to get one back. Stafford against Drake May. MVP versus MVP, right? We have that debate's been raging as to who's the MVP. Love it. Number 3, speaking of the Patriots, they're 10-1. New England would need to win at Denver. But the Patriots are undefeated on the road this year. So if you look at the other side of the bracket, we've talked about the NFC, look at the AFC. The Patriots are playing the Chargers, who have gone through like 3,000 different offensive line combinations, and the Patriots are getting healthy at the right time. Will Campbell is back. Milton Williams is back. Robert Spillane, by all accounts, will play for the Patriots. Their run defense with Spillane and Milton Williams, completely different. And I mean completely different. Patriots were a top 10 run defense in the NFL. Heck, top 5 run defense with those two guys. Chargers are going to have a hard time moving the football against the Patriots. And Drake May at home has been ridiculous. Ever since the loss to the Steelers in week 3 at home, the Patriots have been tremendous. Yes, they lost to the Bills at home, and all 3 Patriot losses this year with their 14-3 record were against the Chargers, or were at home. But let's say they win that game. So the Patriots win that game. They're now advancing. They're the 2 seed, right? So who do they play? Well, I think Jacksonville is going to beat the Bills. The Buffalo Bills under Josh Allen have been awful on the road in the playoffs, and the Buffalo Bills as a franchise, they have not won a road playoff game since 1993. And they're facing a team in Jacksonville that has the best rush defense in the NFL, and if James Cook can't run the ball, the Bills can't move the football, and thus the Bills can't win. So Jacksonville is going to beat the Bills. So now we have a 2-3 matchup, right? 2-3 matchup. New England must beat the Jags. The Jags are a team from Florida having to go to Foxborough. What does the weather look like in January for Jacksonville? If it's cold and if it's snowing, I don't like the Jaguars' chances. Just the way football is played. Cold weather team, at home, rocking environment. Don't like Trevor Lawrence's case. So the Patriots would win to advance. The Pittsburgh Steelers, more on them here in just 1 second, but they're playing on Monday night against the Houston Texans. Do you know the record for the Pittsburgh Steelers on Monday night over their last 23 games on Monday Night Football? That record would be 23-0. They have never lost. In the last 23 games on Monday Night Football, they have won them all. Mike Tomlin is a home dog at 3.5 points to the Houston Texans, who were 0-2 straight up with CJ Stroud, straight up and ATS with CJ Stroud as their quarterback on the road. Pittsburgh's going to win that game. So Pittsburgh winning that game, they are the 4 seed. They're going to Denver. Let's say Denver wins. Can the Patriots beat the Broncos at the Broncos? Again, Patriots are 8-0. They're undefeated on the road. Why not? Why couldn't the Patriots win that AFC Championship game at Denver? Even if they don't, it's 10-1. You can hedge off of it with the Patriots at 10-1. I like the hedge bet with the Patriots on that as well. Number 2 for my 5 favorite future bets for the Super Bowl. Number 2 are the Pittsburgh Steelers at 55-1. Houston has been awful on the road. The question would be, can the Pittsburgh Steelers go to Denver and beat the Broncos? Because I think chalk is going to hold here in the AFC. Patriots, Jaguars, Steelers. Lower seed, home team wins all 3 games. Then you've got Patriots, Jags, and you got the Broncos hosting the Steelers. At 55-1, all we really need is Pittsburgh to beat Houston, and we can start to hedge off 55-1. That's a crazy price. And given the topsy-turvy nature of the NFL and the playoffs, that number is ridiculous. Pittsburgh shouldn't be 55-1. No way. Can DK Metcalf and company go and beat Bo Nix in Denver? Yes. 100% yes, they can. Will they? I don't know, but they can do it. Mike Tomlin can do it. Mike Tomlin hasn't won a playoff game since 2016. That's all the guys have been hearing about for the last 10 years. You haven't won. You haven't won. You haven't won. All right. Well, they got a massive break and they got a missed kick at home in a game they had to win to make the postseason. Sometimes when teams get a ninth live, when the cat lands on its feet from 30 feet up and the thing should be dead, but it's alive, sometimes they play with house money. And sometimes they're loosey-goosey, and a veteran team with TJ Watt and DK Metcalf back, and now Aaron Rodgers, they could stun the world and knock out the Broncos. If I'm Denver, I do not like the fact that I might have to play up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. That worries me. That concerns me. At 55-1, that's a hell of a value bet. I don't think it's bad to look at the Steelers and say, can they make the AFC Championship game? Because if they do, you can massively hedge on that. Like you can just dump on the other side to guarantee profit. Because do they win against the Patriots? If the Patriots beat the Jaguars and the Patriots and the Steelers have a rematch from the game that happened in week 3 where the Patriots had 5 turnovers, that's how the Patriots get to the Super Bowl. Then your 10-1 play, you'd have a 55-1 and a 10-1 play up against each other, and you're guaranteeing a team into the Super Bowl. If you bet the other two on the other side with the 49ers and the Rams, you got a decent shot. Seattle, there's no value in betting Seattle. They're at home. I have a 14-1 ticket on Seattle already. I'm good. I'm sitting pretty with Seattle. But my number one team, the number one bet I think you could make, the Jaguars at 14-1. Let's just play it out. Jaguars at home against the Bills. Like I mentioned, the last Bills road victory in the postseason was 1993. Josh Allen's never won a road playoff game in his career. And you've got the number one rush defense he's got to face in the Jags. Jacksonville wins. Patriots, they could lose to the Chargers. I mean, let's be frank here. The Patriots are unproven in the postseason. They got a rookie left tackle, a second-year quarterback, a first-year head coach in New England, and Mike Vrabel has not done well in the playoffs. He was the 1 seed with the Titans and lost the first game. So let's just say Patriots squeak by the Chargers. Can the Jaguars go to New England and win? 100% they can go to New England and win. And if they win, now they're going to Denver, the place where they went and beat the Broncos by 14. The Jaguars didn't just go to Denver and beat Denver. They went to Denver and abused the Broncos. Man to man, coaching staff to coaching staff, that was a win on every level for the Jaguars. They may just match up really well with the Broncos, and they might know exactly what they need to do to beat Denver in Denver for a second straight time. Then the Jaguars are getting to the Super Bowl, and we have a 14-1 ticket on the Jags in the Super Bowl. Their defense travels. Their offense has been playing at a psychotic level over the last 2 months. They should not be 14-1 to win the Super Bowl. That is too big of a number for a Jaguars team that I really, really like. Number 5, 49ers at 27-1. Number 4, the Rams at plus 440. Number 3, the Patriots at 10-1. Number 2, the Steelers at 55-1, and number 1, the Jaguars at 14-1. This is not about a prediction. Understand what I am talking about. These are the value bets I think you can make in the futures market. Not that I'm predicting the Jaguars or the Steelers to make or win the Super Bowl, but I do think those numbers are worth a look. I think there's money to be made in the futures market with the longer double-digit shots here in the Super Bowl, in the playoffs, given how wide open this is this year. Sure, Seattle's looked great. Denver's looked great. Bo Nix is unproven. Sam Darnold's unproven. Drake May's unproven. This is a very different type of year when it comes to the playoffs. We could see some crazy things happen. The college football playoffs have already showed us what it can look like with some real crazy long shots making it all the way to the semifinals. Not going to surprise me at all if the NFL has a very similar bracket in terms of 7 seeds and 6 seeds making runs potentially all the way to the Super Bowl. Last night, I had the chance to talk to Jesse Merrick from the Silver and Black Sports Network about the Raiders. They have fired Pete Carroll. They have the number 1 pick in the draft. Who are they going to hire and who are they going to draft? that topic and the future for Tom Brady and the pressure on the minority, but becoming more of a majority type of owner for the Raiders. We talked to Jesse Merrick last night here for BBB. Let's talk some Raiders football. Obviously, a lot of news here in Las Vegas. Not only will the Raiders have a new head coach next year, they also will own the number 1 pick in the draft. I'm normally on Jesse's podcast. He's now on our show, the Silver and Black Sports Network. Jesse Merrick joining us here on BBB. Jesse, good to see you. Obviously, a crazy time. Overall, give me a vibe check. Like, where is Raider Nation here in the wake of the season? The awful year they had, but now they get a restart.
Yeah, hey, look, I think a lot of Raiders fans probably sitting back thinking, hey, Christmas Day hit again in the season finale because they beat the Chiefs and they got the number 1 pick. You know, because for the longest time, like we were talking about on our show, that the Chiefs were going to be eliminated from the playoffs and be able to let the Raiders win, or the Raiders were going to find a way to beat them like they did, and they were going to miss out on the top pick and their quarterback in the future. So Raiders fans were stoked to be able to go out on a win. Many of them were calling for Pete Carroll to get fired. That is indeed what ends up happening. And then now they have the top pick. They can get their quarterback of the future, whether that ends up being Fernando Mendoza, Dante Moore. If they both come out, one of them, who knows, whatever the future holds at that part. But I think they're just excited for the future. You know, and today their GM spoke, John Spytek, and he basically said that we have a mountain to climb, but we're not going to try and climb it in one day. And I think that is something that a lot of Raiders fans are finally like, oh, a breath of fresh air, where it's like, hey, look, they're not trying to pull this whole, well, we can win and rebuild at the same time. Like, they're realizing this is a tear down to the studs and build up the foundation for the long term. And it's been quite a while since somebody in a position of power has actually said that and believed it. So now the next move is, let's see you actually act on that in terms of who the next head coach is and if they actually get more than 1 year.
Yeah, and I do actually believe him, because it's the same comment that Tom Brady made after week 16, in which he talked about, if we have to tear it down all the way to the bare bones, we're going to do that. And if that means we're going to lose for a couple of years, then so be it. We're just going to try to do it the right way. And with the first pick of the draft, obviously, this is a gigantic, huge opportunity for a reset for the team. The last time the Raiders picked number 1 overall was in 2007, and they took Jamarcus Russell. Everything went to hell after that. That can be a blessing, and it also can be a curse when you have the first pick in the draft. Do you have a sense of, okay, Brady's going to be the one making this pick, or it's going to be ownership, or it's going to be, Spytek or somebody else in terms of where we go? What do you make of the pick, the number 1 pick, and what direction the team will go? Is it guaranteed quarterback, or is there thought of other things potentially?
Honestly, I think a lot of it is going to hinge on who they end up going with as their head coach, to be completely honest. I think if they bring in an offensive-minded head coach, I would say book that pick. It's going to be a quarterback no matter what, because if I'm an offensive-minded coach, I'm not taking this job unless I get to handpick my quarterback in the draft. That's a big reason why I would take this job. Otherwise, like, what are you doing? There's other places you can go where you can bring in another free agent or whatever the heck it is, So I think the most appealing thing about the Raiders is that an offensive-minded coach can come in and select their quarterback of the future from the guys that we laid out, depending on who's going to be available out there in the draft. If they go defensive coach, I could see them going a couple different ways. Maybe they decide to trade that pick to the Jets for a boatload of picks, because obviously they have a ton of them to use at their disposal. And then, maybe they trade Max Crosby too, and they have like 5-6 first round, like whatever the heck that number would end up being after it's all said and done, to be able to really rebuild this franchise. Those are the things that are kind of interesting to me. So I think it's really going to be important to see what the Raiders do in terms of what style their coach is. And I think that'll tell us a direction of where they're going. But again, if it's a defensive coach, then I think it's a toss-up. But if it were me making the decision, I say you go quarterback all the way. For so long, the narrative that all this was talking about in the media for the Raiders is they've been just barely on the outside of being able to land their quarterback of the future in the draft. Now, don't waste your time. Go for it. If you think Fernando Mendoza is that guy, get him. If you think that Dante Moore is that guy, get him. Quit kicking the can down the road and start to change your franchise's fortunes.
So we've heard some rumors, and I have been on the record saying the Raiders this year were the worst team in the NFL. That proved out. But I think this is the best job that's open of the jobs that are open. I know people are going to quickly go, wait a minute, the Giants job. I disagree. One, it's in New York. And two, the Giants haven't been a well-run franchise for a while, and there is no patience in New York. So you have to come in, whoever takes over that job, everyone's going to say, you have Malik Neighbors, you have Jackson Dart, you have a running back, a defense, you've got all this talent with the Giants. You must win right away. If you don't, you are out. In Vegas, this is a market in which you can be left alone. You can go 2-3 years, and if you are showing progress year to year, the fan base here is pretty well satisfied. They're not going to be, on the doorstep of Allegiant Stadium demanding change. Pete Carroll had to go because the team was embarrassing. We talked about it all year about the number of 31 points, the blowouts they were having and just how they couldn't effectively do anything offensively. Geno Smith coming in and was an awful choice, and all the interceptions. We know he'll be gone in some form or fashion after one and done. But do you buy the idea that this could be Tom Brady trying to bring back Brian Flores or Brian Dabble, offensive and defensive coordinators, trying to kind of, again, do the Patriot way thing here in Vegas?
Yeah, look, where there's smoke, there's fire. And there's a whole lot of smoke surrounding this thing. Everybody out there in the national media is talking about this. Personally, I don't see it because, you go ahead and correct me wrong if this wasn't the deal or not. But from what I remember about the whole situation with Brady going to Miami, it was going to Miami to bring in Sean Payton to take Brian Flores' job. You think he's just going to be like, oh, it's all good, dude. Who cares? Water under the bridge. No, he's known for being a bit of a hard ass. You think he's just going to be fine with that? I personally don't buy that. And I know there's so much history in terms of winning and championships between Brian Flores, Brady, and Daboll all being around there in New England when they won. But I just don't know that he's going to just forget about that, even though it would be for a head coaching job. And that's obviously something he wants again. I just don't quite see it. And also, too, the simple fact of, again, Flores, the type of coach that he is. Look at Tua Tagovailoa, okay? He played under Nick Saban. Nick Saban, also a hard ass. He was able to get through that. Well, then he goes to Brian Flores and talks about how horrible he was as a person and as a coach and how much he tore him down and all that. Yeah. I don't know that that's maybe the best situation for a young quarterback to come into right now. So for those factors, I personally don't see it. Having said that, that guy is one heck of a coach. Everywhere he's gone, the defense has improved vastly, and he's done it in multiple ways. He's been an innovator on defense. The way he's been able to scheme things up, even with some bad players in the secondary, has been so impressive at every stop. And he would really build up the front seven of that Raiders defense, which is massive. They need to add bodies up there in that front seven to help max out. So from that perspective, coaching-wise, I think it makes all the sense in the world. Outside of that, I don't quite know. But also with Daboll, too, he's created some very explosive offenses back at Alabama, also with the Bills, too. And then obviously, look, the weapons that they had at their disposal with the Giants and all that stuff. But, I just don't quite see it for the ways that I laid it out of just terms of fit. And when you want to build something for the long term with that kind of attitude and all that, I just don't know that that's necessarily the case and would be the best thing for this team going forward.
I also am confused by the report a little bit because Dabble being the OC and Flores being the DC, well, who's the head coach?
Yeah.
And to me, those are lateral position. Those are lateral moves. For Dabble, it's a step down. He's going from head coach to offensive coordinator. From Flores, he's going from a DC in Minnesota to a DC in Vegas. Explain to me why that's a better situation and why that would be a job you would want to take if you didn't get more clout. So if Flores is the head coach, I'm not in. Dabble being the head coach, knowing that you have the number one pick doesn't really make me that angry. I'm like, okay, I don't hate that if he winds up, but I didn't like him in New York. I think he was able to make a lot of noise off his Josh Allen connection and off the Patriots legacy and whatnot. And then it was my favorite bet going into the year was the Giants to go over under 5.5 wins. And obviously things went south in a hurry for the New York Giants. What's funny about this season, and I was watching a video on this a couple of hours ago, and it really is true. Last year, you had Ben Johnson with the Lions. You had Mike Vrabel on the free agent market, and you had Aaron Glenn, who was also with the Lions. All three of those guys were getting jobs. We knew that those coaches were going to get head coaching jobs in the next cycle. We really don't have that because the name that should be being tossed around is Josh McDaniels, who will never be a head coach in the NFL ever again. Yeah. But the job he has done with Drake May and the Patriots being the 2 seed, winning 14 games, and Drake May doing historic things with a 72% completion percentage this season. That's the guy, if he wanted it, would get a head coaching job. So who do you want to get? If you could wave a wand, who do you think gets the job? Who do you think will be a good fit?
Well, yeah, when you started talking about McDaniels, I was about to grab this helmet here and be like, dude, do you realize what team I cover? Like, come on. you just saved yourself, though, because, he's an OC until the day he dies.
Yes.
Probably preferably.
Hall of Fame OC,
there.
but he's a horrible
100%.
head coach.
Exactly, yeah.
Awful head coach.
No, real bad. But in terms of like coaches, if I'm running things with the Raiders, if I'm in charge making this decision, I am going offensive guy. And there's two names that I'm going to throw out here because to me, they're two interesting ones. And I'd love your thoughts on both of them.
Okay.
Clint Kubiak and Cliff Kingsbury. Let me lay it out real quick, and I'd love to hear your response on this one. So with Clint Kubiak, and I love the head turned down for Cliff Kingsbury. I can't wait to hear your thoughts on this one. But so with Clint Kubiak, look what he's done up there in Seattle. Sam Darnold, top 5 in passing yards. I think we can all agree that Sam Darnold is not a top 5 quarterback, but look what he's done with him. They also have the 11th ranked rushing attack, and they run it at the 4th highest clip in the league. So he does it by making things easy on the quarterback, and he's able to do it. Look at the Kubiak system dating all the way back to his dad and some of the quarterbacks that they had. It's a very quarterback-friendly system. Now imagine a guy like Clint Kubiak with an Ashton Genty, a reworked offensive line, because obviously that has to happen for the Raiders, and then a quarterback with some really elite traits coming at the top of the draft there. I think that'd be really interesting. He also runs a lot of 2 tight end sets. The Raiders also happen to have Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer, who could very well be one of, if not the best tight end duos in the league with the right coaching and play caller in place. With Cliff Kingsbury, I go back and look what he's done with quarterbacks over the years, okay? Kyler Murray and Jaden Daniels, offensive rookie of the years for them when he was their coach. He also worked with Patrick Mahomes back there at Texas Tech. This is a guy that was kind of setting his ways in that air raid type offense, running a lot of those 3 and 4 wide sets, but he goes to Washington, and yes, it's been a mess. There are all kinds of injury issues, all that stuff, but he's expanded his system a bit more and has run more of those 2 tight end sets. I think it would be interesting. The only hang up there on Cliff Kingsbury in terms of why it may or may not work here in Vegas, when Antonio Pierce was the head coach, Pierce wanted to bring him in to be his OC. He wanted a 3-year deal. It sounded like the Raiders wanted to give a 2-year deal. They wouldn't budge. He didn't really like that. And from what I heard, he was very, very mispleased, with the Raiders about the way that was handled. So can he get over that hurdle? I don't quite know, but new coach or new GM in place, all that stuff, and a lot of money could help heal that. But those are the 2 guys, honestly, that I would really narrow in on. And for me, the first choice would be Clint Kubiak, just because he isn't a retread.
Yeah, I mean, Brady can make things right with a lot of guys. So a lot of history with Kingsbury. I mean, he has Alex Earl's phone number, so I guess that could be smoothed over easy for Kingsbury. But I do not want Kingsbury in Vegas is a bad idea. Okay, he is Josh 2.0. He is a tremendous coordinator. He is a horrible leader of men. He is not somebody that I think would want to build an organization from a CEO standpoint. The Kubiak situation, I love. I think that's a really good idea. Yeah. But here's the wrinkle. I don't think Mendoza should be the pick. And just given the film study people that I follow and I talk to, the Indiana system is incredible because of the running attack that Indiana operates out of with the RPOs. Now, if you bring in a heavy RPO system and Ashton Genty is going to be the bell cow here and they fix the offensive line, then I think Mendoza can be very successful. But Mendoza needs a running attack because he does not have an offense in which he has multiple reads to worry about. Most often in the Indiana offense, it's read the crashing end, either give it to the back or you have one option to throw to. He's not a guy back there surveying, going from A, B, C, looking at the entire operation to find the receiver. Dante Moore is a different story. And everybody keeps on telling me about Dante Moore hasn't played enough football. I don't care. I actually like that he hasn't played that much football because he doesn't have a lot of wear and tear on him. He, if he comes out, should 100% be the pick, in my opinion. But if that's the case, does Kubiak like a quarterback like that? Or does he want to go and have a more traditional style offense? And if that's the case, then you trade the pick. If you hire Kubiak and he doesn't like either quarterback, then you trade the pick, you go down, get multiple weapons, or you get a left tackle, you get somebody to replace Max Crosby. I would trade Max Crosby 100% this offseason. I think the way that it ended with him, I think I love Max. He's a tremendous athlete, an amazing defensive game wrecker, but he's been around this organization too long and he's lost too many games. He needs to go to a different situation. He needs to go back to a winning organization. He needs to go back and realize that the Raiders let him do whatever he wants. He gets to do it. And so the way that it was separated after week 16, instead of understanding the bigger picture, him having this narrative come out and then him not addressing the media after that happened, nor after Pete Carroll gets fired, he's not the leader that this team needs for a young and hungry up-and-coming team. Put him on a team that's got, I don't know, put him on Seattle. Like, go put him on the 49ers. Like, put him on somebody on the NFC, get some draft capital to go and build off of that. I think this is going to be, for you, I think it's going to be one of the most interesting 4 months of your career.
Yeah.
You're going to have so many different rumors to chase down as to what this team actually is going to do with the number 1 pick. I know we're sitting here on the 5th of January, but in your mind, do they keep it?
Man. Okay. So if you're asking me today, I think they keep the pick just because, like I said, they've been on the outside looking in at quarterback for so long. And again, sitting here on January 5th, I do think that Dante Moore comes out. I heard Todd McShay was talking about it, and he was like, hey, if I'm Dante Moore's agent, I call the Raiders and I ask if there's any way in the world that my client could go number 1 overall. And if the Raiders love this kid, boom. Because a lot of people, basically what he was getting at is nobody wants to go to the Jets, which I think is
Who wants to go to the Jets?
Yeah,
nobody wants to go to the Jets. Yeah. Why would we? I mean, they're keeping Aaron Glenn. Yeah. Both the Bengals and the Jets made the 2 most stupidest moves of so far in the offseason by keeping their quarterbacks. Keeping their head coaches. It makes no sense.
No, yeah. But yeah, so I agree with you on that one. But I think they keep the pick. I think they go quarterback. I honestly just don't know which way they go. I do lean Mendoza, but I haven't, I'll be completely honest, really started doing my work of watching the full tape. I've caught pieces here and there throughout the season and all of that. And so maybe things are revealed a bit more. But the one thing I do hear about Dante Moore is that he is a more complete passer, like you said, maybe going through more reads and stuff like that. The reason I lean more Mendoza, honestly, is like you look at it, and I know Indiana is a really good football team, and Kurt Cignetti is one hell of a coach. But if you look at it week in and week out, I mean, yes, they're the number 1 team in the country, all that stuff. They have lesser talent, lesser athletes than many of the teams that they're facing out there. And I think he's gotten more out of less than any other quarterback out there has, including Dante Moore, who anytime he goes out there, it's Oregon, man. I know it's not the Chip Kelly Oregon from back in the day, but like they've got dudes at every single position. Last I heard, at least Yahoo Sports was saying that Indiana had 1 starter that was a former top 100 recruit. They go and play Alabama, who had 14 top 100 recruits in their starting lineup, and Alabama didn't look like they belonged on the field with them. And I know that these receivers created a lot of room to work with, so it's not like he was thrown into these crazy tight windows. But when the reads were there, when the plays were there to be made, I saw Mendoza take advantage of those opportunities, and he put it on his guys, whereas Dante Moore, against a really good Texas Tech defense and a really good front that frustrated their offensive line, albeit he did miss some shots downfield when those opportunities were there. So that's what stuck out to me, specifically from the quarterfinals of the college football playoff. I am now really looking forward to seeing those two go head-to-head again to see now how they look in their next opportunity, because this is the closest opportunity we're going to get to see these guys in an NFL-type situation in the playoff here.
We'll end it with this. How much pressure in your mind is on Tom Brady to get this right? Because he's a 7-time championship winning quarterback who is 48 years old, who just went on a podcast and said, give me a month and I could be ready to play an NFL game, maybe multiple NFL games. And we all believe him. I mean, look at the shape he's in. Look at the way he's kept track of his body. He's around the game, obviously. He watches games. He calls games for Fox. So he's in the building. He's watching these games in the preparation. So Brady is in football. It's not like he's a 75-year-old old man talking about the time when I played football back in the day.
Yeah.
How much pressure is on Tom Brady to get this pick right?
Honestly, and we talked about this on my show from time to time, I don't know if there's a ton, because it seems like they're really trying to lean into the fact that Spytek is the GM, and at least the way that he spoke at his press conference was that like the buck stops here. So I think Brady, even though we all know he's going to be so involved in it and all this stuff, can still hide behind the veil of like, well, hey, he was the GM if it doesn't work out. Because that was the narrative all offseason was, oh, Tom Brady's so involved in the Raiders and all this different stuff. And then the season pans out to be horrible and nobody's there holding him accountable until the end of the season. You and I were on that real quick early on, midway through the season, and that wasn't a narrative until very recently. So yes, maybe there's a bit more because people are starting to talk about it, but I think he's always, while he's not as visible, not at the facility every single day, he could always hide behind the fact of like, well, hey, I got a lot going on, I offered my input, blah, 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 stuff like that. So I think there's more pressure on John Spytek as a first-time GM to get this one right. Having said that, I think it's now at the point where the national conversation has started, where everybody is really starting to look at Tom Brady. So maybe in the court of public opinion, a ton of pressure on Tom Brady. In terms of the people that are here in Las Vegas at the facility every day, I don't know if there's a ton of pressure on him because he can kind of hide behind, well, hey, Spytek's the GM. I'm just there as an advisor.
Fair. Jesse, obviously you're going to be very busy over the next couple of months leading up to the draft in Pittsburgh for the Raiders with the first pick. If folks want to follow along, how can they find your stuff?
Yeah, hit me up at Jesse SBS on Twitter. Also, Google us, silverandblacksportsnetwork.com. Just like Kirk Stanegity says, all we do is win. Our stuff has been good this year. We're on the rise. Find us on YouTube. It's been a crazy year. You've been a big part of that. We actually just topped 1 million views on YouTube, from 0 to 1 million views in less than 6 months. The rise has been wild, and it's only going to heat up even more as the draft approaches. So it's been a lot of fun.
Well, that's awesome to hear. Congratulations. And we'll be watching the Raiders on the clock for the draft coming up in April.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
That being the one and only Jesse Merrick from Silver and Black Sports Network, talking about the Raiders and where we are. That was taped last night, in case you're curious when we taped that. So that was right after he had met in the locker room with the players. And we didn't discuss this, and I did not even, and this is on me, after I had taped the interview, I went and read and watched some things, and the idea, and you guys in the chat were all over this, the idea of Kirk Cignetti leaving Indiana to coach Mendoza in the NFL is interesting. Now, that would be one of the most incredible runs in 2 years for a guy that was unknown to become a NFL head coach in that type of speed would be remarkable. But I think, and this is, I think it was Colin Cowherd who was the one that put this out there when I saw the video, and I went, you know what? It's a really good point that if the Raiders are going to take Mendoza, to at least call Kirk Cignetti and say, hey, let's say he wins the national championship. Okay. Let's just say he beats Oregon, and then he goes and beats Miami, or he beats Ole Miss and he wins the national championship, which I think is 100% possible. Maybe he wants to keep coaching Mendoza. Maybe he wants to keep going, and maybe he doesn't want to play in this NIL world, and he wants to just go ahead and say, hey, college was great. I'm going to go to the NFL where I know I got a quarterback. I'm going to have complete control. Maybe him and Brady see eye to eye. Who knows? And then it works. And then he gets the job with the Raiders. I'm not saying it's possible. I'm not saying it should happen. I do think that, it's worth the phone call if you are the Raiders to Kirk Cignetti to say, hey, would you want to keep coaching your pupil that has changed the entire trajectory of both your lives? He wins the Heisman. Now he's going to be the first pick in the draft. You can coach him for the next decade in Las Vegas. I don't know. I think it could be interesting. I think it's interesting to see how this winds up going if the Raiders would be interested in a very unproven head coach. Okay, let's be frank. Kirk Cignetti can talk about all he wants. All I do is win. Google me, blah, blah, blah. To go from unknown to, national championship winning coach, that's been remarkable. But it was that because of the environment of college football, or is it Kirk Cignetti just is that good of a head coach and he deserves to be on the highest of stages going to the NFL to run the Raiders? It's worth the phone call. That's all I would say. It's worth the phone call. It's worth the conversation. I don't think it's going to happen, but I do think it would be a very smart decision for the Raiders to at least kick the tires on what to do with Kirk Cignetti. Now, there are 6 jobs open in the NFL for head coaching as of now. There could be more depending on what happens with Baltimore, with Pittsburgh. We got others that might be open this offseason, but I thought it might be fun to take a look at the 6 jobs and rank them 6 to 1 in terms of what would be a good landing spot for coaches. And I think in terms of the worst job right now, this is worst to first, worst to best. Who wants to go to the Cardinals? I mean, the Cardinals are a mess. They got a quarterback problem that's not going to be fixed anytime soon. They got to figure out what to do with Kyler Murray. Their defense was okay. They've got Trey McBride, but really, what else do you have on that roster that you want? Yes, it's Arizona, but the losing has been so gross under Jonathan Gannon. The cupboard is so bare, and that ownership group is not one that you really want to be a part of. I think the worst job open right now is the Cardinals. Number 5, I would say, is the Browns. The roster is a huge question. There's no quarterback in that room for sure, whether it be Gabriel or Sanders, or if you go and have to deal with the Deshaun Watson situation. I don't want any part of that. You're in a very tough division. The Browns are going to have to face off regardless of what happens with Baltimore and Pittsburgh. You're still dealing with a division that is not easy, and I would not love to be in the black and blue division unless I am that type of coach. Like if I am a Dan Campbell type, if I have that type of mentality where I want to go in there and bite kneecaps, okay, fine. I'll go be part of the Cleveland Browns, but this would worry me. That's a tough place to go. Number 4, everyone loves the Falcons because of the roster. I don't love the Falcons because of the history around the organization. I just don't think the organization is a good place to be. I think Atlanta is a weird market. It's a college football market. They like the Falcons, but they really love college football. You've got a quarterback situation that's a little bit murky because do you have a quarterback in Michael Penix? What are you doing with Kirk Cousins? You've got Bijan Robinson, who's a stud. You got Kyle Pitts, who's a stud. You got some young talent on the roster. I'll give it to you with the roster. It's a very good roster, maybe the best roster open outside of the Giants. Might be better than the Giants. Just don't like Arthur Blank. I don't like the organization. I don't like the market. I think that I would be hesitant to go to the Falcons just because I could be out quick. It might be a 1 or 2 year stop. And if you don't win, you're out. You are in a very winnable division, though. I mean, from a division standpoint, the NFC South is a very winnable division, given the roster that you currently are operating with. Number 3, the Giants. Quarterback, check. Running back, check. Wide receiver, check. Multiple first-round picks. On the defense, check. What about the division? Commanders should be better with Jaden Daniels. The Cowboys are always going to be in the conversation, and the Eagles, as of right now, they still are, but they won't be after this. In 5 weeks, they won't be, but they are the defending champs as of right now. This is a very tough place to win because you must do it immediately. Giants fans are not going to be patient. They want to win, and they want to win right now. That's tough. Okay. You can't go 6-10 in year 1. Nope. Not with the roster. They want to be 9-8, or I guess 7-10 or 6-11. Can't be 6-11. You got to go and be over 500. You got to be 9-8. You got to be 10-7. You got to be in the playoffs immediately. That is pressure for any coach going in there, on top of the fact that you are in a bubble in New York. Number 2, I like the Titans job. I like the Titans job more than most people. I like the Titans job. It's a market very similar to Vegas. Like, they love their football. They love the Titans. It's a college football market more than it is a pro football market, but you have Cam Ward. You have a quarterback. You got a guy to build around. And I know the roster is somewhat questionable, but the division is you can win the division. What's going to happen with the Colts? I mean, I don't believe in Shane Steichen. Sorry. I like him in September. I like him in October. I don't like him in November and December. I don't think he's a playoff caliber coach. I don't think he's a guy you got to worry about. But what are you doing at the quarterback position? It was supposed to be Daniel Jones. He's out for the year next year. Bringing back Phillip Rivers. Phillips is gone. He's bye-bye. How about AR? What are you doing with him? He's not the guy. You know he's not the guy. So what are you doing with Indianapolis? The Texans are good. I'm not debating it, but the Texans, let's see how long that window is open for Houston. This is a good job. That's a good job. That's a good market. It's a good place to be. And I think the best job on the market is the Raiders. People disagree with me, but I think when you have the number 1 pick in the draft and you have no expectations, this is a patient market. There is no media to speak of whatsoever. Get a load of this situation. This happened yesterday, which is unheard of. The Raiders fired Pete Carroll. They fired their head coach. And the face of the franchise, Max Crosby, did not address the media after the firing of Pete Carroll. They have the number 1 pick in the draft, and the Raiders allow Max Crosby to do whatever he wants. Max Crosby's answer to the media when they put in a request to hear his thoughts, he tells them to listen to his podcast. I'm not kidding. His answer is, if you want to hear what I have to say and what I think, go and listen to my podcast. In 2025, if that happens in almost any other market, you are going to be blasted by the media. You're going to have people on TV and radio roasting you for being MIA for a franchise that has given you a ton of money, that has allowed you to do whatever you want because you love being a Raider, and no one loves being a Raider but Max Crosby. And so they let him do whatever the hell he wants. And the media just sits there and laps it up and takes it because there is no media here to worry about. None. There's no pressure here. So you have the number 1 pick. You have a market that is worse than Miami when it comes to attention, right? Everyone says that, the coach of the Miami Dolphins, the pressure is less because people go do other things. They go to South Beach and they go to the mall and they go shopping and they go to all the ritzy places in Miami, and football is like a back burner thing. In Vegas, it's a very similar situation. There's just not a lot of pressure on any coach to do anything here except from ownership, right? The Vegas Golden Knights have gone through multiple head coaches because of Bill Foley, not because the market has demanded it. It's a very unique place. There are not Raider fans here, okay? The Raider fan base resides in Southern California, and they drive over the 3.5 hours to the game when it's a home game, 8-9 Sundays every year. That's where that fan base resides. They talk about the Raiders in Southern California. They don't talk about the Raiders here. There's no diner conversations going on about the Raiders. No one's sitting around and calling into sports talk radio. And I love Cofield and Company. I love the guys here who work on ESPN radio in Vegas. They're really talented dudes. But more people here talk about UNLV still and the Rebel football program and the Rebel basketball program. You go to a diner here in town, that's what the old timers are talking about. No one's talking about the Raiders because the Raiders suck. And they know it. This market, if you take this job, you have the number 1 pick in the draft. You have a billion-dollar stadium, multi-billion-dollar stadium. You've got all the things you would want to recruit a player to. You've got unbelievable weather. It is sunny 340 days a year here in Las Vegas. You have no state income tax here in Las Vegas. You have all the nightlife you could ever dream of if you're a football player. Now, it's caused problems, Henry Ruggs and whatnot, but if you keep yourself on the straight and narrow, hire a driver, and don't be an idiot, you're going to be able to have a really good time here in this town. If you win here in this town, people will pay attention to you, but you got to win. And the Raiders have not won. They've had 1 playoff run since moving here to Vegas. And people here are just sort of on the team. So you go 6-11 next year, and you go 8-9 the next year, you're not getting fired. You're going to keep your job. You're going to be here. So you can move your family here and feel like you're going to get 3 or 4 years. As long as you are progressing in the right direction, you're going to keep your job. I think it's the best job available. I really do. It's burn it down. You have Brock Bowers and you've got Ashton Genty. You should trade Max Crosby, send him packing, get a 1st-round pick for Max Crosby, have a 1st-round pick, top of the draft, and then have another or 2nd or 3rd 1st-round pick and rebuild that way. Get a quarterback, get a left tackle, then go get some defensive players, spend in free agency, and in 3 years, you're back in the conversation. And you're potentially going to be a playoff team. It's all there. For whoever wants it, it's all there. The question will be who wants it? Who wants it? Don't know. Don't know who wants it because Mark Davis is a hard guy to work for. And how much are you going to enjoy Tom Brady meddling with that team? Some guys would be awesome. Best QB of all time. Let's go. Others would be like, hey, Tom, go get more Botox and Go back to your broadcasting days, dude. Stay away from the football team. Going to be an interesting couple of months here in Vegas, but I think the job opening here in Vegas is right for whoever wants it. If you guys are watching live, don't move. Bonus time coming up, including what happened last night in the FCS National Championship game. If you guys are on Sports Grid, thank you for watching. We're back tomorrow night, same place, same time. For the rest of you guys, bonus time starts now. All right, let's talk about what happened last night, because there were some pretty cool things that happened last night. All right, what happened last night? Did you guys watch the FCS National Championship game? Did you watch Montana State and Illinois State? That game was bonkers. Montana State wins 35-34 over Illinois State in overtime. It's the first time that the 1AA or FCS, depending on what you want to call it, national championship game went to overtime. It had never gone to overtime before. Montana State was a team that took Oregon to the brink this year. Like, that is a good football team. They were ranked number 2 in the country. Illinois State made a run, and they had a shot, but they missed the extra point in overtime. They missed the extra point. They had missed a game-winning kick at the end of regulation. They had a game-winning kick blocked, and then they had the missed extra point. They lost the national championship game because of their kicking game. The kicker blew that for Illinois State. Congrats to Montana State. Really fun football game. I didn't see that coming at all as I turned it on in the second half, and it was a 28-14 for Montana State. And all of a sudden, here came the Redbirds storming all the way back, getting into overtime with a chance for a game-winning kick. They get it blocked. We go to overtime. They score a touchdown. Hell of a run by the kid for the Redbirds to get in. Heck of an effort. And they let up the extra point, and they missed it. And you knew kind of right then and there, you're like, oh, that stinks. Like, that stinks. You knew that was going to happen. Montana State scored a touchdown. They kicked the extra point. Oh, Joel, you had Redbirds money line sprinkle plus the points. That's good. But I don't know how you don't have a kicker or a holder, but it's FCS football. Holder was awful more than the kicker. Yeah. Both those. Yeah, just, to have a kick to win the national championship and it gets blocked, to have an extra point that you have to have and you missed it. Bummer. I didn't expect it at all. I wasn't expecting that good of a game, but our friend Stormy was on the sidelines. Stormy's so good. Like, she should be doing. I really hope that they start to put ESPN puts her on the national championship semifinals and finals going forward, because she just asks really intelligent questions. She obviously is a sports gambler. She understands our world, but beyond just being a sports gambler, she's tremendous. Everything I've ever done, whether it be, I've done multiple panels with Stormy. I've done a lot of things with her over the years here in Vegas. And I always tell her that, like, you're so good. Like, you're just so good. And you're underutilized for ESPN. And hopefully you get more opportunities, because her family is from the life, and she just gets it. Her husband, Chris, they're just really good people. And whenever I get to see her in moments like that, where, the audience grew significantly into the overtime period, it's always cool. You're like, you know what, that's a great opportunity. And she asked some really, really good stuff. And yeah, she's tremendous on VSiN. Yes. I mean, absolutely. We can say VSiN, Eshawn. You're on, Sean. We can say that here. I can't really say VSiN on Sports Grid. They get kind of upset about that, but they can do that for sure. Look at Tim. He's from Danvers, Illinois, 10 minutes from Illinois State, Normal, Illinois. Heartbreak is for sure, Timmy. That stunk. I mean, as a guy who was part of an FCS run for UMass in 1998, and that game was being played in Nashville last night. The game that was won by UMass in 1998 was won in Chattanooga, Tennessee. So it is a neutral field game, so to speak, but the crowd was great. The game was great. Really cool stuff. Really, really cool stuff last night with that. So we gave our guy, Josie Myers, the task of tracking Oklahoma City and their potential to become the most winningest regular season, single season in NBA history team, that's dead. That is simply not going to happen. What is wrong with the Thunder? The Thunder have completely fallen apart, and I don't really know why. They just got blown out by the Hornets, the Charlotte Hornets. The Thunder have lost 6 of their last 12 games. They've got 7 losses now. It's January. It is over. You can kiss that record goodbye. They are not going to, they can't. All they can do is tie it, but they need to win every game the rest of the regular season to get there. So that is, see you later. That is gone. I have no idea what happened to the Thunder, except that they got complacent. Like they just got bored. And they're tired. They've played a lot of basketball over the last 3 seasons, and I just don't think they care right now. They look like a team that simply doesn't care. And I can't really argue with them at the moment because it doesn't matter. Like the playoffs is all that matters. Get into the postseason. They can win on the road. They can win at home when they're playing their best basketball. They're the best team in the NBA. And every night they're getting the A game from the opponent. And if they show up and if they play a C level game and they're playing an NBA caliber roster, they're going to lose. And that's what's been happening. They're playing teams giving A effort and they're not. And thus they're losing. And they're going to lose consistently some more because they ran out to a 24-1 record. And since they're 6-6. So not the same team by any means. But again, it really isn't that big of a deal. It's not that much to worry about here. News of the industry is an interesting one. All right, news of the industry. I don't know how much you guys have followed this because there's been a lot of things in the news. But originally, in the prediction market world, you were not supposed to be allowed to gamble on certain things like war. You were not supposed to be able to place wagers on things like war. Well, that's out the window now because a gambler on Polymarket opened an account. This person had never bet on anything on Polymarket before, but he went ahead and made multiple wagers about what was going to happen in Venezuela for the United States. This person clearly had inside information. There was a $32,000 bet. 4 positions were taken, all on Venezuela, all on Maduro to be captured before the end of January. This person cleared $436,000. Polymarket data shows traders put the odds of Maduro's exit at just 6.5% in the afternoon of Friday, January the 2nd. They then jumped by 11% shortly before midnight and then surged in the early hours of the 3rd of January, indicating a sudden change in positions just before the United States and Donald Trump posted what they were doing on Truth Social, that Maduro was actually in U.S. custody. Dennis Keller, chief executive at Better Markets, a nonpartisan group that advocates for financial reform, told the BBC, quote, "This particular bet has all the hallmarks of a trade based on inside information. A handful of Polymarket users also made tens of thousands of dollars from wagering on Maduro's capture. This has now gotten the attention of the politicians, and not in a good way, in a bad way. In particular, after this story broke and this person made almost $500,000 betting on war, betting on the capture of a political opponent, of a political figure in the world, here comes Richie Torres, Democrat from New York. He will introduce a bill called the Public Integrity in Financial Prediction Markets Act of 2026. According to the description, the bill will prohibit federal elected officials, political appointees, and executive branch employees from engaging in certain transactions involving prediction market contracts when they are either possesses material non-public information relevant to the transaction or could be reasonably obtained such information through their official duties. The restriction applies to buying, selling, or exchanging prediction market contracts tied to government policy, government action, or political outcomes on platforms engaged in interstate commerce, i.e., prediction markets. The fact that this wasn't illegal already is unflipping believable. The fact that we are just now talking about making this illegal is insane. Because betting on wars was supposed to be illegal in the prediction market world. But inside information has been the lifeblood of prediction markets for a long time. It's been long thought that it's not just something that is available, it is something that is needed. Kalshi, they were asked for a quote after they were asked about insider trading being illegal in the stock market, while Donald Trump Jr. is an advisor for Kalshi and Polymarket. Polymarket is where this bet went down on the capture of Maduro. Fewer regulations in the prediction markets. Kalshi said, quote, the prediction site explicitly prohibits insider trading in any form, including government employees trading on prediction markets related to government activity. This happened on Polymarket. Didn't happen on Kalshi. Polymarket, by all accounts, advocates it, is positive, is pro, is good to go when it comes to these types of wagers and these types of opportunities. Will we get this thing passed? I don't know, but it is nuts that you can find out, hey, we're going after this guy. Get all your money together, guys. We're going to drop it on this, and we're going to make a $32,000 bet, and we're going to clear over $400,000 because we know for a fact that we're going to go get Maduro. We're going in there, and they're not going to be able to stop us, and we're going to have him in custody pretty quickly. And that's exactly what happened. Very, very interesting. Whole thing is very, very interesting. When does that pass? If that ever passes, I don't know. But the fact that it has to be written in now shows you how unregulated the prediction market world really is in America. We are in the legitimately wild, wild west with nobody watching, nobody policing what's going on. Favorite thing about today. My favorite thing about today is that this week is awesome. If you are not a football fan, you don't think this is awesome, but I love this week. We are so damn lucky that we get this right now. As football fans, as bettors, I don't care if we win or lose all week. Just the fact that we have a weekend where we're coming off the holidays, we're all in this like malaise. My house is a disaster. Okay, I've been gone for 10 days. I've got so much work to do. I haven't been rehabbing my shoulder properly. I got to get back into doing that. I got to get back over to the gym. I've got all of this crap going on right now. I have suitcases and I've got clothes and laundry and all this stuff I got to do. I'm not moving for a week, literally. Like I have so many things I have to take care of to get my house in order for the rest of the school year and the rest of the football season and everything else. On top of the fact, I'm going to New Orleans in the last week of January. By all accounts, we are going to the Super Bowl for BVB coming up here for Radio Row. We're doing that. I'm going to Florida in the later part of February. Like I have got trip on trip on trip on trip all scheduled that I'm going into that like I need this weekend. I need Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. The universe is doing me a solid, and they're saying, put your ass on the couch, order some pizza, get a couple of bottles of good whiskey, and just have a good time watching football. Because we get Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday with 2 games, Sunday with 3 games, and Monday night playoff games. 2 in college, 6 of them in the NFL that we get. All Single elimination, winner take all matchups. One team advances, one team goes home for 5 straight nights. Yes. Absolutely yes. This is such a good week for football. This is such a good week to watch football. Thursday, college football. Friday, college football. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, NFL. Favorite thing about today is this week to look forward to. We have tonight, we have tomorrow, and then away we go. Tomorrow on the program, the 2 games in the college football semifinals. We will get into it. We will break them down, betting trends, things to watch for, things to be potentially financially committed to betting tomorrow for the 2 games involving the college football playoffs. Somehow we're on Ole Miss, Miami, and Indiana and Oregon. That's our Final Four. Who would have thunk it? We'll do it all tomorrow on a Wednesdays. Today's Tuesday. Tomorrow's Wednesday on a Wednesday edition of the Bostonian versus the Book.